What's going on, Ma? Welcome you guys to a Monday edition of the Watch Party here on the Watch List channel. You guys maybe have gotten a little used to this now. And actually, that reminds me. Hold on. Let me give you guys a couple seconds. I know I jumped in late. I know I didn't say hi to the nerds. So, hello, nerds. Hello, everyone else out there. Glad you guys are early. Glad you guys are on time. Um, I think I need to let you guys know something. I want to double check directly the date itself, but I believe I started this whole daily stream thing randomly on a whim on June 27th or 28th, one of the two. Doesn't matter at this point because now it's September 29th. Let me check my dates because I'm not good at those things. It has been 3 solid months now of this daily 1 hour, sometimes hour and 10 to 15 and half hour long stream that we've been doing here. And I just appreciate you guys showing up. I appreciate you guys continuing to let the live audience grow like this. Apparently, you guys are sharing that stream, but maybe you're not. And if you're not, go ahead, bro. I mean, come on, help me out. You're here right now. Share it, like it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Make sure you know we're doing this every day at noon. It's been 3 months. I'm not sure how I'm still holding up because I get up super early now and I just scour and I go through and I find the stuff that I think we need to talk about at a degree that many other folks maybe aren't. The topics are things you've heard about, but maybe not the direction and the, I think, energy we need to put behind some of these stories. Sometimes they're just said to say it. Anyways, most importantly of all, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but it is still the best damn day of the week. It's Monday. I'm going to be going over to TDR right after this, which is why I shouldn't be talking for the first 3 to 4 minutes about all this other stuff because, damn, I've got a lot of stuff because the weekend is always chocked full of madness, a little bit of, the corruption and a whole bunch of fascism. But the first thing I want to talk about isn't directly connected to all the fascism, directly from the executive branch here and that guy in the White House, but it definitely involves one of his foot soldiers who carried out a heinous act over the weekend. Let's start here.
The FBI director tell you about the shooter? What do we know?
What we know at this point in time is that he was a member of this Michigan community, that he is a veteran of our United States Armed Forces. He served in the United States Marine Corps in Iraq. His family is cooperating with the FBI, and so they are currently trying to dig in and get to the bottom of why he committed this heinous act of violence. It's unfathomable. And as the president rightfully put in his Truth Social yesterday, this appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians. And the Trump administration is fully committed to not only investigating these crimes, but prosecuting them to the fullest extent of the law, but also working very hard to prevent them, to see if there's red flags. The FBI is going to treat those as public safety emergencies and investigate them to try to prevent such violence from taking place in our country.
The FBI director tell you.
There we have Caroline Levitt talking on Fox News about that shooting over the weekend at a church. Yes, another church shooting. And as soon as I heard that, I was wondering, so what is it that's going on now? And who is potentially the culprit? As we're always asking these questions, but did you see a little bit of cautious nature behind those words? When I heard her speaking about that, I still didn't know who the culprit was. I felt this energy that was a lot different than the energies we've been feeling in the last couple of shooters. Here's a little bit more. Maybe you can see what I'm seeing.
And they are trying to understand more about this, how premeditated it was, how much planning went into it, whether he left a note. All of those questions have yet to be answered, but certainly will be answered by the FBI. I think the American people in your audience can be assured. Look at the great work that the FBI did in light of, or in the hours and days following the assassination, on Charlie Kirk's life. That was a successful investigation, and that investigation continues. And that assassin was, of course, being held accountable in the court of law now. And they are trying to.
Did you hear any barking or yelling about another radical left lunatic? Another shooter that's coming to try and start civil war in this country? Another person who's too busy calling the fascist in the White House a fascist and a Nazi because he keeps doing fascist and Nazi things? Did you hear them say any of that stuff? Did you hear them talk about how this is another assault on right wingers from these left wingers? Because we know the number of political partisan shootings in this country is overwhelmingly from. Did you hear any of that? Did you hear her barking, or did you hear her trying to then bring up their catalyst story about the Charlie Kirk shooting? Did you hear that part? Because they seem a lot more calm. Know what? Let's check in with what Trump had to say, because he's the one who drives all of this division and hateful rhetoric. What did he say about it? He must have really been on it, right? He said, I've been briefed on the horrendous shooting that took place at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons, in case you guys don't know, in Grand Blanc, Michigan. The FBI was immediately on scene and will be leading the federal investigation and providing full support to state and local officials. The suspect is dead, but there's still a lot to learn. This appears to be yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. The Trump administration will keep the public posted, as we always do. In the meantime, pray for the victims and their families. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately. Weird. I didn't one point in there where it's violent leftist lunatic liberals that we have to go kill, that you should all start grabbing your guns and attack folks in the streets that you think, based off of what they look like, that you should start killing. It's weird. It's like he didn't say any of that stuff. Maybe I should let you guys get into why. You guys know where this is going. Mehdi Hassan pointed out this excerpt from this article about this shooter. The guy's name is Thomas Jacob Sanford. So Sanford is seen wearing a camouflage Trump 2020 campaign shirt in a 2019 photo from a Facebook page dedicated to his son's medical journey. A Google Street View of a home that public records identifies Sanford's primary address shows a blue Trump Pence yard sign attached to a backyard fence. And that image was apparently taken in June. Just like the previous few shooters, that they decided to go quickly and write and engraving things on bullets to talk about how it was about they're coming after these right wingers, because the right wingers are trying to save America and the left wingers want to destroy it. I mean, all that's written out on the bullets. And also, text messages between two folks that were obviously concocted from somebody's fantasy about some kind of novel they wanted to write about two folks texting each other. And so for some reason, the fact that we now see for the countless time, this guy was a Trump supporter and ran up in that church, and for some reason he didn't point out that we must stop this scourge of right-wing militant fascist-minded individuals that follow behind my MAGA proposals every day to come and shoot this church. We haven't seen the motive yet, but what we do see is this guy, because the internet works quick. So they went to checking out some of his posts, some of his social media things. Did you see Kash Patel posting about everything about this guy before we knew anything? Did you see it? Because what I see is a guy in a Trump 2020 shirt. I don't know if this is going to sweep over close enough, but there's a close-up. It's weird. It says Trump 2020. It's got that orange guy's face on it. It's almost like he supports him. And now that that's the case and we see it, again, I guess too quickly for them to try and, taint the whole story on it, but they're kind of quiet. Here's a scene from that church where he barreled into it and then purposely started a fire in it. It's got huge American flags on the back of his pickup truck. The way that they had like pickup truck with Confederate flags, American flags, and Trump flags flying all over them all the time. It's almost like it's the direct MO of someone who supports Donald Trump in this MAGA movement. But he ran up in a church and got to shooting people. But the people that he ran up in the church to start shooting weren't black folks like Dylan Roof did. And they weren't going after gay and lesbian folks like these other shooters do. What they've gone after are these white folks praying in church, similar to how they've gone after other folks. And those things got blown off. It's the fact that it's a little bit too hard to make this another partisan rhetoric issue that they want to keep pushing and using for more violence while everyone fights over that in the background while they're doing everything they can to destroy this country. Has them at a bit of a standstill. For some reason, Kash Patel has not said anything. He won't shut the fuck up about anything else. But right now, oh man, dude can't come in front of cameras right now and talk about how he wants to, we're going to come and follow these guys from the ends of the earth, from LA to New York. We're going to find them. Let me give you guys details. What does it happen in case you didn't know how horrendous this attack was? Michigan law enforcement authorities identified 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford. He's from Burton, Michigan, as that suspect who killed 4 people and injured 8 others when he rammed his pickup truck into a church in central Michigan and then opened fire. One of the 8 injured victims is in critical condition, while the 7 others are in stable condition. That's currently what's going on, at least as of yesterday, last evening. I don't know how the developments have gone, but here's more information. The suspect then exited the vehicle and fired several rounds at people inside the church with an assault rifle. Grand Blanc Township Police Chief William Rain said this. Sanford then used gasoline as an accelerant to light the church on fire. Sanford then died after exchanging gunfire with responding officers in the church's parking lot. So, I mean, he had them go ahead and kill them rather than him doing it himself, like many of these other folks do. Now, the question again, as I was talking about, we see who he is or was. Motives are still up in the air, though, because police haven't identified this at all. And they said, we can't come to those kinds of conclusions for some time. I want to repeat that sentence. He says, we can't come to those kinds of conclusions about motives for some time. That's what Lieutenant Kim Vetter said when he was pressed by a reporter. Or she, maybe, Kim Vetter. Last part about this, in case you guys, don't have enough irony in your veins yet. The FBI is leading the investigation. Reuben Coleman, acting special agent in charge of the FBI Detroit field office, said the incident is being investigated as an act of targeted violence, but he did not offer any indication of what the motive for the incident might have been. It's like they're taking this case and doing it normally, and, going along the normal processes of maybe checking out the crime scene, assessing it, having folks look into the backgrounds of people, seeing if there's anyone else potentially involved or connected or knew that this was happening. It's almost like they're going about this the normal direction because they weren't really ready for this one. It felt like they were ready for the others. I'm just observing things, because there's other things that I observed, because again, people scour through this guy's social media, and now some of these things that people pointed out were from his posts either on Facebook and I don't know, Instagram, and also a couple from his mother. Similarly, we talked about that Utah shooter, how his family pointed out this guy's hardcore right wing. They just, I mean, that's what his family said. So I guess we shouldn't believe them. But here's some of the stuff that Thomas Jacob Sanford had posted about, just in case you guys didn't know who he was. This was a repost from Jesse Waters, Fox News guy. If this is how the crazy left will go without power, imagine them with power. And it's an image of the folks on the 5, all separated because, this is from September of 2020. And, everybody that followed Donald Trump was like, yo, there's no such thing as COVID because we haven't tested enough yet. Here's more, in case you guys were wondering how soon they could say that this is some left-winger. He reposted from Turning Point USA. Have you heard of that organization before? Who said, who can relate? The 4 common causes of a headache: loud noises, bright lights, ear infections, and arguing with leftists. That'll cause you a headache. It's weird. Charlie Kirk was all about arguing with leftists, and he lost so many of those debates. We didn't really talk about that, but for some reason it causes a headache. I guess it does give you a headache when you lose debates based off of actual facts. Here's something else that Tom Sanford posted. There's an article from the Western Journal. This is also from October of 2020. Because we're not going to be peaceful much longer. That's what this video shows of a fed up vet who's mad about what's going on in this country. He was, reposting things like that, how they're not going to be peaceful for much longer. As I mentioned, some of the things people found were based off of also things from his mother, who posted, God bless our amazing president. President Trump, thank you for all that you sacrificed for our country. Just the picture of Trump walking around looking like, a piece of Trump. You guys ready for the last one? I want to, there was many more, but let me show you this last one. Again, from his, allegedly his mother, who posted this. Charlie Kirk's birthday is October 14th. Let's wear red together. And with the wristband, it says, I am Charlie Kirk. They apparently had a problem with gun violence when it's certain targets, but again, we're still looking for those motivations. Maybe they're releasing them now. but we're seeing a background of who he was. So how about this? um, let's go ahead and stop arguing with people. I feel like a broken record. Uh, how about we stop arguing with people that know the degree of violence that's coming from the folks who are following Donald Trump, who many of them have now been deputized to become ICE agents, police officers, and people just roll across the streets to snatch people off of those streets, and in his name, and act like they're doing something to better this country. It's exactly what they wanted. It's how they're planning it. It's it's what's being carried out. So as it's being carried out, and we see these types of attacks, that suddenly they don't give a hot damn about letting everybody know all the information they got in the first hour since the whole shooting and attack and arson on that church happened. It's weird how that's not what they're doing. So much more calm, no name calling. It's weird. It's like they're admitting that they're doing all this every time they do it to rile people up, and then say things like blatantly what the president said last week. I think that these left wingers who keep committing all this violence need to calm down, because it's going to come back on them, and right wingers are tougher. Does that sound like someone who's not inciting violence? But he's not inciting it here. There's no, Nazis on the beach in Huntington Beach chanting "White men fight back." There's no Klan rallies going all over the country to talk about how they're going to come for everyone who looks just like Thomas Jacob Sanford, because they'd have to look in the mirror. Am I crazy? Is there developments that I'm missing? Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Sure. Okay. Let's move on to this next story. Like I said, I got tons, and I got to jump on TDR next. I'm not sure if you guys had heard about this. It's a little bit more of this changing over of our country and putting people in places to commit more violence on the people of this country. This happened just late last week. Someone was asking Donald Trump about this curious new meeting that was going to happen in D.C., where Pete Hegseth was calling for every military leader from across the world. Think about how much of an endeavor that is to come meet, and no one really knows why. And here's Trump acting like he doesn't either.
Secretary Hegseth is inviting military leaders from all around the country on Tuesday. Will you also be there?
From all around the country to what?
To Virginia.
He's inviting the generals and admirals to Virginia for a big meeting.
Well, I know. I love it. I mean, I think it's great. Let him be friendly. Let him be friendly with the generals and admirals from all over the world. Why is there something? No, but is there something wrong with it?
What is it about? Will you be there personally as well? And what is it about?
Well, I'll be there if they want me, but why is that such a big deal? I mean, the fact that we're getting along with the generals and admirals from all. Remember, I'm the president of peace. It's good to get along. It's good. You act like this is a bad thing. Isn't it nice that people are coming from all over the world to be with us?
It's not particularly unusual that generals who report to the Secretary of War and then to the President of the United States are coming to speak with the Secretary of War. It's actually not unusual at all, and I think it's odd that you guys have made it into such a big story.
JD Vance is lying. So JD Vance jumps in to save Donald Trump because Donald Trump was floundering when trying to answer the question as to why all of these military leaders from across the world are being summoned to come meet with Pete Hegseth's dumbass. And I guess JD Vance, and I suppose Donald Trump, who said, I don't know, isn't that nice of us to all meet together and have absolutely nothing to talk about except for some secret things about a military that we all pay for? But I want to go back to JD Vance's lie about how this is just totally normal and you guys are making something out of nothing. Well, here's reality.
Yeah, Katie, this is really shrouded in secrecy. And it is really, we can't say it is completely unprecedented, but we spent the last several hours trying to find any precedent for this and simply can't find it. The notion that the Secretary of Defense would bring potentially hundreds of general officer and flag officers from all over the world together for a meeting like this is extremely, extremely uncommon. And for a number of different reasons. For one, these are people who have really busy day jobs. So bringing them here for something is difficult, especially on such short notice. But what's really also got a lot of people scratching their heads here today, Katie, is the idea that the agenda or what he wants to speak to these men and women about seems to be such a secret. Even officials who we are speaking to who are planning to attend this event don't really know what they're coming in to talk about, Katie. Yeah, Katie, this is really shrouded.
It's like JD Vance is a liar. So just because he steps in and says, "Oh no, you guys are making it such a big deal," this is a very common thing, except for the fact that when someone looks into things, because it's what reporters and journalists do. So Courtney Cube there on NBC News reporter was talking about how it's so uncommon, and she figured maybe there's some rare instances that they just kind of missed. I want to direct you guys to this content creator, Chris Valenti. He found, one of those few times in history where this has happened. Let's pay close attention.
Adolf Hitler summoned all of the leaders of the German military to Berlin. And when they got to Berlin, he forced them to change their oath from an oath to the Weimar Republic and the Constitution to an oath to the Fuhrer. It's all about loyalty. And the overwhelming majority of them ended up taking that oath because they didn't want to lose their jobs. And then during the Nuremberg trials after the war, a lot of them thought that oath would save them from accountability. They said, hey, we took an oath to be completely and totally obedient to the Fuhrer's orders. So this isn't our fault, this is his fault. And as cowardly leaders do, the Fuhrer, well, he was no longer with us. So all of the accountability was laid at the feet of his monster men who were in charge of committing those crimes. I would just like to take this as a moment to remind you that Pete Hegseth is summoning the entire leadership of the United States military from all over the globe to meet in the exact same building at the exact same time, and none of them get to know what the meeting is for. This is the first time this has happened in American history. Maybe I'm just speculating. Or maybe if you study enough history, you can accurately predict the future.
It's not that hard. Like, you don't need other folks to find it and tell you all about it for you to understand. Just look up the processes, look up every action, damn near every action that this administration's taking, and you'll find the mirror version of it from fascists, authoritarians, and specifically Nazis. You don't listen to Chris Valenti. Don't listen to him. You don't have to. That's some guy. He's got an agenda. I think these left-wing billionaires are paying him to be this guy who just lies to you. Or you can also look into things that, like, the Holocaust Encyclopedia said. German military oaths. Until recently, many military swore their allegiance to their monarchs or rulers. Traditionally, the German military had sworn an oath of allegiance to the Kaiser. This changed during the Weimar Republic, when the oath became one of allegiance to the Constitution and its institutions. That's how it changed. Then, after that, in Nazi Germany, German military personnel swore an oath directly to Adolf Hitler. This change had important repercussions during World War II. Here's a couple of key facts. It was longer in this article. The 1935 Fuhrer Oath was voluntarily created by the military itself, but not by Adolf Hitler. Interesting to know. Also, the oath to Hitler was a key element of the Nazification of German military. Nazi ideology became more and more the basis of military objectives. Just want you guys to know. This is being led by Pete Hegseth. Donald Trump knows nothing about it, he says. Then after whatever it is that they're going to talk about with our military that we pay tons of money into, after that goes down, it's pushback and hateful rhetoric from the vice president of the United States, from reporters that want to know, what the hell are you doing? They say they don't have to tell you shit. And then after they don't tell you anything, they go on and continue to send their military into the streets, as he's promised he's going to do in more and more cities. Why would they, break their oath of then going and attacking Americans, when they have an oath to uphold the Constitution, unless he's trying to, get them to swear some oath, to himself. Let me read you guys something else. This is an excerpt from a piece by Lynn Schmidt. This is from June of last year, June of 2024. She's a syndicated columnist and editorial board member with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. This is an excerpt from a series that offers analysis on some of the things that was in Project 2025 and what they wanted to carry out. Again, this was written in June of last year. Let's show you guys this piece here. Project 2025's recommendations include giving the president the power to reduce the number of generals. Quote, the next president should limit the continued advancement of many of the existing cadre, many of whom have been advanced by prior administrations for reasons other than their warfighting powers. Presidents do have the power to remove generals under Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. That said, traditionally, generals or admirals have been relieved of their posts for misconduct or a failure to perform their duties. Relieving a group of them as a political act by a president would tarnish the perception that the military is apolitical. Project 2025 recommends that the president usurp Congress's constitutional mandate when it comes to national defense. The president should examine the recommendations of the congressionally mandated Commission on Planning, Programming, and Budgeting and Execution Reform and develop a strategy for implementing these that the administration considers to be the best interests of the American people. It's a long-winded way of saying that they should take more power from Congress. They should start being able to talk about military personnel, getting folks out, trimming down the number of people that they have control over so they can do things the way that they want them done. And as people kept talking about Project 2025 and the things that Donald Trump knew nothing about, it's weird that things that he knew nothing about are things that he continues to keep carrying out. So whenever that secret meeting happens, I'm not sure when it's supposed to or if it already has, and then we hear nothing else about it. And then we look up and see, more military guys in the streets saying, under, the direction of who we swore our oath to, the Fuhrer Donald Trump, we can do what we want to you. And I'm not sure if you guys have been paying close attention to this next story. This is some of those things Donald Trump wants to do with the military that we pay tons of money into.
National Guard, have you decided which city that you want to go into now?
Yeah, I have. I have. I'm not going to say it now, but yeah, I have. We're going to go into another place and straighten it out. And I will say this: I watched today. I didn't know that was continuing to go on, but Portland is unbelievable. What's going on in Portland? The destruction of the city.
Are you going into
Well, I'm going to look at it now because I didn't know that was still going on. This has been going on for years.
Have you decided you
So we'll be able to stop that very easily. We'll be able to stop it. But that was not on my list, Portland. But when I watched television last night, this has been going on. You wouldn't be standing if you were the mayor. You would be. Can you imagine what they're doing? They're walking in, throwing smoke bombs into the store. These are paid terrorists. Okay. These are paid agitators. These are professional. I watched that last night. I'm very good at this stuff. These are paid agitators. They get paid money by radical left groups, not radical right groups, radical left groups. And they get paid a lot of money. And you see it with the signs. They all have perfect signs that are printed. They look as good as that sign. Those signs aren't made in basements. They're made at professional printing offices, and they cost a lot of money. These are paid agitators, and they're very dangerous for our country. And when we go there, if we go to Portland, we're going to wipe them out. They're going to be gone, and they're going to be gone fast. They won't even stand the fight. They will not stay there. They've ruined that city. I have people that used to live in Portland. They've left. Most of them have left. But what they've done to that place is it's like living in hell. Yeah, go ahead. Thank you for your statement before.
It's almost like he's just making stuff up as he goes. Oh, you're living in hell in Portland. Yeah. Did you know that they print out those protests? Stick to the things that he keeps saying repeatedly. How he's going to go after these people. He's going to get rid of them. They're going to wipe them out. The president of the United States talking about a U.S. city, Portland, Oregon. He's going to go and wipe them out. He's going to send folks in to wipe them out. What does that mean? How come no reporters in the room said, what are you talking about? Fuhrer, which people are you going to wipe out? And do we remember in his first administration when people were calling it Trump derangement syndrome? In fact, people that worked in that administration said this guy wanted to take to the streets in Washington, D.C. and start shooting protesters in the legs because he didn't like how they made him look bad. It's almost like he's a fascist. And he wants to violently use the military to suppress any kind of political opposition, any First Amendment, but he wants to harm people. He doesn't care. You know what? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me say it. There's this guy who apparently posts on Donald Trump's page on Truth Social, and he said this is what was written. At the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I'm directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. I'll say it again. I'm also authorizing full force. So when someone asks J.D. Vance, Pete Hegseth, and Donald Trump, what does full force mean? They'll say, fake news. Why are you here, CBS? What are you talking about? Why are you here? Full force? Full force just means fully standing in front of them and then forcefully doing nothing. Or does it mean full force to kill people and then claim that they're Antifa, who Stephen Miller and Donald Trump just a week or so ago were talking about how they are this terrorist organization. Anti-fascists are their enemies. Take that in. And we have to go after them. Anybody that they deem to be Antifa. So, of course, protesters in the streets in Portland are Antifa because that's what Donald Trump said. Here's a little bit of my frustration. Here's some of the pushback from leadership in Oregon. This is the governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. I believe I'm saying her name wrong correctly. If I'm saying it wrong, I apologize. Here's some of her response to this declaration of coming to kill Americans.
I am not going to be approving any utilization of Oregon National Guard. The president does not have the authority to deploy federal troops on state soil. I'm coordinating with Attorney General Dan Rayfield to see if any response is necessary, and we will be prepared to respond.
She's not authorizing it. I mean, I think like other states, that was the case, but this guy is running roughshod over the entire Constitution. He actually doesn't care. So, I looked up a couple things. I was like, you know what? What's the war-torn aspects of Portland? I'm not going to run you guys the whole thing because it was a pretty pristine video. I mean, they must have just been doing this, for social media clicks. But here's a resident in Portland who said they live 2.3 miles from what is deemed, quote, ground zero. So they're showing us the scene of what Donald Trump's coming to, squash. I mean, there's not much noise here, so you have to just go off of my general narrations. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if they chose a corner of the street or a part of town that's like vacant. But I don't. Oh, there's a couple folks running. Looks like Portland. Folks running with arm and ankle weights. Maybe a streetcar may come through every once in a while. But they carried on down the street further, just to try to show this scene that Donald Trump again is talking about how he's coming for war-torn, ravaged Portland. Now, I did hear there's some protests outside of the ICE facility there. And someone took a video of that ICE facility as well. I'm not sure if these are coming in shifts, because also at that time, they're just trying to fool everyone into thinking that there's so many bad things happening in Portland. So let me go back and revisit the governor of the state again. She had a couple of longer comments about this and some of the responses that they need to then take. And I'll point out where my frustrations are at the back.
Our city is a far cry from the war-ravaged community that he has posted about on social media. And I conveyed that directly to him. That we got this, we are good, we are doing fine. And I also said to him, we have to be careful not to respond to outdated media coverage or misinformation that's out there. We know what's happening in our own city, and we are doing just fine. That being said, we do face real challenges in Portland, as does the rest of the country. We're worried about the cost of living. We want our schools to do what is necessary for our students, and we want to make sure that people have good jobs and homes that they can afford. I need help for those kinds of things, and that's the kind of help I need, not having military troops from the federal government in our state. President Trump's inconceivable insistence that we need federal troops in Portland does not address the real concerns in our communities. We do not need or want federal troops in Oregon stoking fear, creating conflict, and frankly escalating a situation that is under control. Any federal takeover with military troops in our state is a threat to communities across Oregon. It violates our right to govern ourselves. It interferes with local law enforcement's ability to fulfill their mission. And frankly, it drains taxpayer resources that could be better spent elsewhere. And again, I communicated that to the president directly. Oregon is our home. It is not a military target. Any deployment would be an abuse of power and a misuse of federal troops. People across the state.
Okay. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm on the wrong side of the energy here. But we keep seeing the president of the United States talk about how he has a list of cities he's going to then go and invade. Does that sound like it's any kind of response to any kind of crime that he keeps saying is happening, when it's obvious that wherever there has been crime, those numbers have been going down? And number two, the areas he wants to then go patrol with National Guard and now, I guess, active U.S. military. Nothing is happening there. And maybe some folks are with signs and they're angry and, they're yelling at ICE agents and things like that, that danger. Just like, those code pink women that were inside of that restaurant where Trump tried to have the photo op to say that DC is suddenly, the best ever because he's got military stationed there. So since he thinks everything is a threat and he keeps pushing this anger and energy and divisive rhetoric and violence, I don't know, man. It's just frustrating to see someone who's the leader of the state then read, I spoke with him about it and I let him know that's unnecessary, Mr. President. I stressed it very strongly. That's not necessary, Mr. President. We're fine. Things aren't that bad. Like, where's the energy behind what you believe in? I'm not saying you have to not have anything prepared to say. I get it. These are politicians. Maybe they got folks that are giving them the direct information of how to go about things. But it just feels like there's no energy behind rejecting fascism. It's just, well, I mean, if we hit these 5 staple points, people will finally start understanding where we're coming from. As he's then lying about every aspect of everything that they're doing, making it seem like it's normal for him to collect all these military leaders together in one point to then have some kind of secret meeting with all of our military leaders while he's in the middle of saying he has a list. He has like a list of oppositional cities he wants to then go and attack. And once he wants to go in and attack them, what he doesn't like, he's okay with her talking like that. You know who he doesn't like? He doesn't like Mayor Brandon Johnson. I'm going to show you why he doesn't like Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago.
Against Trump, knowing how he responds to that could actually provoke him to follow through with this talk about sending in the National Guard when yesterday he seemed to waffle. Could this make things worse, all this pushback?
Could you imagine if, as a descendant of slaves, if my ancestors would have had that same rationale? Let's not fight against the Confederacy. Let's just try to get along, and then maybe one day they'll give us our freedom. Nowhere in the history of America or the world where marginalized people have sat silent and idle, and they've been able to actually achieve justice and liberation. The fact that you have a unified front in Chicago where we are rejecting the occupation by the military of our cities, that's actually fighting for our democracy. That's what's required in this moment. Leading in this moment takes a great deal of courage, but we stand on the shoulders of so many people that have come before us. We have seen these type of tyrannical acts before. One thing that we know for sure, when we fight back against tyranny, the people united always prevail.
Just say the reality. It's easier when you have facts and reality and the majority of American people on your side. Who cares about the lies they tell? Stop rejecting. Even that reporter saying, shouldn't you just roll over Mayor Johnson? Considering he keeps having all these angry, violent, bloodthirsty words for you and your city, shouldn't you just accept it? No. And for the people who for some reason think that they should, maybe they get inspired by someone actually saying the right thing, not only on his threats, but also on his claims of coming to lower violence in cities. I love what Brandon Johnson said here too.
To offer, no, listen, Mark, I get to answer my question now. You've asked it.
Mark.
No, Mark, I've answered my questions. Of course they are, but you're not going to be able to avoid that if we don't do the things that actually work. We are not split on this issue. The fact of the matter is, no one has asked me to send federal troops into this city to make it safe. It has never come up. It never came up during the campaign. It's never come up in the first 2 years. The fact of the matter is, we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Dr. King said this right here in Chicago, the National Conference on New Politics. What did he say? He said, militarism is a sickness. I am trying to eradicate the sickness from this city and from this country. I'm going to work hard every single day to protect the people who are caught up in violence in this city. Guess why? You want to know why? Because the vast majority of them look like me. This president has never asked a very simple question to me, Brandon Scott, Barbara Lee, Randall Woodfin. He doesn't talk to black mayors about what it's like to live in communities that have been disinvested in. So no, we're not going to succumb to the sickness and the evil that Dr. King warned us about a generation ago. It didn't work in 1974 when 970 people were being killed. It didn't work in the 90s when no one said a mumbling word about how many people were losing their lives because of violence in this city. And now we're actually doing the work that's working. Now all of a sudden everybody has these ideas. This is a group project, but we're not going to allow the president of the United States of America or any of his ilk look at the work that we're doing across this country, and then now we're experiencing some level of reprieve, and now he wants to put his name on our paper. No, not going to tolerate it.
Not going to tolerate it. I think it's pretty simple. Again, there's actual things being put in place. And what they don't want that information to be spread is that when you invest in communities, instead of claiming, yo, these black people, these brown people, these women, these other folks, they're all a detriment to society since they've siphoned so much resources and life out of these communities in order to try and prove their white supremacist points. When things are working well because they do things the right way, like invest, then crime does go down. That's an understanding of why crime happens in the first place. When you strip our educational system, which is also top of their list from the moment that they got into office, they're stripping our education system. They're stripping our communities of their resources. You notice all the money that they keep taking from people, and it's turned into violence, it's turned into militarism, and it's turned into barking orders and control over your rights. It's weird how fast that happens. But then after he sends in these troops and things are actually working, and he denies the reality of actual crime stats that they'll just rip up and throw away, they'll claim that he made it happen. That's why he hated that those Code Pink ladies confronted him in DC to show that he was just there for a photo op, because it's very important for him to keep this story going. And by the way, they have found themselves in Chicago already. Have you guys seen this video? Here's these clowns trying to catch someone who came up near them. Just fix your brains to realize if this was happening in another country, what we'd be saying about them. Let's run it again. Let's run it again in case that was delayed. Jeez. Ultimate losers. This is his supreme army running after a man on a bike with apparently some kind of package on the front of it. I think the stories that are around from this situation is this guy rolled up on them, said something to them, non-threatening, probably called them some assholes or something. And the first point was, get him, go get him, go get him. And there's 15 to 20 of these fucking losers who can't even catch up with this guy on a bike. They're within 3 to 4 feet of him so many different times. But these, flatfoots can't do anything about it. It's a damn shame. So that's in Chicago. And again, like I said, this president wants to say things directly about these situations that have nothing to do with quelling any violence. Matter of fact, what do you think this means when he posts, Border Patrol will take no nonsense? And he, of course, posts something from the Blaze. Here, let's watch what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is cheering for in Chicago.
This is a public hearing. Go fucking home.
They want you to ignore the violence. Did you hear the shots that they were taking? Oh, these are non-lethal rounds. We're just shooting them at people. In the meantime, when folks finally respond, as they jump over cars like they're in some kind of action movie, these little individuals think that this is their now first chance to be the bullies that they always wanted to be, but they were too busy stuck in their small bodies and their baby-sized hearts. The courage is there as long as they've got, military equipment on, and then the president of the United States tell them they can do whatever they want. Again, and his post was, they're going to take no nonsense. What did you see? The nonsense that was there was people protesting, which again, I'll point out, is who he wanted to shoot during his first term. And everybody said it's crazy. Are we willing to accept that that's what it was yet? Here's more. I'm gonna show you guys the things these guys are doing so that when we see the response come from folks in the streets, you won't buy the bullshit that when they say, look at these violent lefty anti-fascists. Watch. This is the violence that's happening now in Chicago.
Your name and date of birth. Get back. Get back. Your name and date of birth. Get back. Your name and date of birth. Get back. Get back. Get back. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alan, date of birth. Date of birth. What's your name? Date of birth. What's your birthday? Help me. Alan, date of birth. 9/1/99.
I think it's about time for us to stop acting like these aren't the bad guys. So I counted 15 minimum agents with, I guess, non-lethal rounds that they're shooting at anyone that gets within 10 feet of them jumping on one guy. Did they explain who this one guy is? Was he some kind of kingpin? Had he murdered 100 people? Was he a serial killer? Or did he just leave the scene of a murder that he just killed a bunch of? Did he just run his truck into like a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? And did he then set fire to it? Did that happen right here? Or did that happen from one of Donald Trump's supporters as he murdered folks inside of a church? But they've got 15 to 20 agents who are shooting at innocent bystanders who are witnessing and trying to document the Gestapo that's running through this country. That's their job. And just like any other fascists, you have to understand this. They're also going after people who are directly involved in the media, who are reporting these things. They want to keep it hidden. There's this reporter who apparently took some rounds from some of these agents. She posted on her page, an ICE agent took a direct shot at my car today, absolutely unprovoked. My window was open and chemicals went all over my face. Been puking for 2 hours. There was not one protester in sight. I was simply driving to check the scene out like I have been for weeks, about 50 feet from the entrance. Apparently, this is the ICE facility over there in Chicago. Local authorities, along with my news organization, are taking this very seriously. And she says there's going to be more to come. There's a picture of her truck that was, I guess, hit with some kind of pepper balls or some kind of thing that they're shooting at folks based off of absolutely nothing. Here's the details. The village of Broadview said that they've launched a criminal investigation after CBS News Chicago reporter had a projectile fired at her vehicle by an ICE agent. Reporter Asal Rezai, I believe, said that there was no active protest or protesters at that facility and that she was alone with no one around at the time of the incident. In a report filed with Broadview Police, Rezai said that she was driving her truck with her driver's side window down while approaching the 25th Avenue entrance to see if any activity was taking place. That's when she said a masked ICE agent who saw her window down shot a pepper ball about 50 feet from the inside of the fence, hitting her truck's driver's side panel and causing the chemical agents to engulf her inside of that truck. So this coward little bitch stood behind a fence at the ICE facility and shot it at her door because he saw her window down and made sure the chemicals and everything from his pepper ball made it to her. Because ICE agents are in fear for their lives, because ICE agents don't want to be identified in case someone wants to come after them, because, ICE agents like that guy decided to shoot a pepper ball at someone for driving by in the United States of America freely. There's a little bit more. I'm going to point out who this sorry ass is. The reporter said that the pepper ball left white powder on her windshield and her face and had been on fire for at least the last 10 minutes or so. And she also pointed out that the chemical caused her to vomit once outside of her truck, as she then pointed out in her original post that I showed you guys. Last bit on this before I have to get out of here. Also in her report, she said, at this moment, it's not really clear why that officer took a shot at me. My car had been there several times, although I did not identify myself verbally as a member of the press. Well, she shouldn't have to. It's the United States of America. You can go where you want. There were no protests going on, she said. There was actually nobody there except one other person that was a member of a fire department that was there checking in on the buildings around this area. Broadview Police Chief Thomas Mills responded to the incident in a statement, and he said the Village of Broadview Police Department has launched a criminal investigation into an allegedly unprovoked attack on a CBS Chicago TV news reporter's vehicle by a chemical munition fired from the direction of the U.S. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement detention facility. The victim declined medical attention. The Broadview Police Department expects the full cooperation of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Sure. You're not getting that cooperation from them. What you're going to get from them is a couple middle fingers and saying, by directives of the Fuhrer Donald Trump, we can do whatever the hell we want in this country, including invade your city. So as it comes to your city next, just be prepared and also understand this is now, this fascist regime is now trying to take over from within. It's implementing each of these steps. I'm just giving you what it is that we're seeing so that you can understand what it is that we're now facing. What I'm facing is 5 minutes till I have to get on TDR. I've got one more story still to go through. Obviously, I'm not going to get to that right now. I might jump on for another live for another 10 minutes or so after I'm done with TDR. That is if I really want to get to this, because Mike Johnson is trying to defend Donald Trump's weaponization of the Department of Justice. All of these things that he blatantly laid out in front of everybody, what he's doing and how he wants to go after his political enemies. Moses Mike Johnson is down on his knees kissing more Trump ass. I'm gonna do that after we're done with TDR. Until then, I gotta go and hang out with John. Hope you guys run over there with me. But before you do, make sure you like this stream here, share this stream here, subscribe if you haven't yet. These stories will go up on the watch list as well. This hour went by extremely fast. But I got another hour and a half for John. Wish me luck. I'm already getting a little bit tired. See you guys in a couple minutes.